Okay, we are live. Setting up your meeting for live Facebook. Awesome. We are live. Hello. Hi, everyone
Hello.
out there. Hi, this is Melvina Fredson-Cole coming to you with Think Beyond the Keys. And I hope you guys are all doing okay. If you're up here in California, I know we retracted and we're sheltering in place. Some businesses, are closed, but we keep moving on. I am happy this week because we're going to speak all about home inspections. And to help us with that, I have an awesome person because he has years of experience. In fact, let me just read so I know he's been doing home inspection since 1999 and he's done over 20,000 about that
Correct.
inspections, Barry, and his name is
Correct.
Barry Sargent. Did I pronounce it correct, Barry?
Soggin. Very Soggin.
Sogan, Barry Sogan. Sorry about that. Barry Sogan. So thank you, Barry, for taking time out of your busy schedule to
Thank you
come,
for having me.
yeah, to come discuss about home inspections. So let's just get into it. Barry, and what led you into home inspections? I know you've been doing it for a long time.
Well, I have a family line that's in real estate, both construction and real estate areas for a long time, and I sort of grew up around it and just
Okay.
followed the family path.
Cool. I met Gary in our brokerage, and he has such a great personality, and he loves helping people, and that's why I'm excited to have him here and just share his experience with us. And this is for not only for buyers, because buyers, it makes sense. You're using all that money to purchase a home, to purchase a commodity. It does make sense for you to check it out to see, is there anything that you need to do that may affect it, or you don't have any surprises. You move in and then there's a surprise, so it just makes sense. There's some counties that I, depending on where you are in the United States, but there's some counties that the seller doesn't need to do a home inspection before it listed, but some counties they do require, but whether they require or not, it does make sense for buyers to do that. There's some sellers who already do their home inspections and it's all in the reports, and it makes sense. I would, if I were a seller, to do that because it makes your process go faster. It removes everything is out there on the table, and you can go ahead. So I'm just going to go ahead, so Barry and can take it over. So Barry, what
Yes.
exactly is home inspection? When you go, what is done?
Well, the big thing to remember on a home inspection is it's similar to a picture in time. So if we're there for, say, from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, we're reporting on what we can see during the time we are there. Not a minute before, not a minute after, just at the time we're there. And it helps to give you a general overview of your house from look at your structure, your roof, your electrical, your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, all the way down to an appliance like your garbage disposal or even some grout work in the bathroom.
Wow, there's a lot. So
There's actually about 400 items
wow,
on an average home inspection we're looking at, and that's just the baseline.
well, just the baseline. So structurally, do you look at the roof, the
Yeah,
foundation? Like, what are
yeah.
some of the structural aspect that you look at?
So we'll be looking at the foundation where we can get to it. The biggest thing on any home inspection or any inspection basically I know of is you can only be reported on what you can see. So we can't see in the walls. But if you
Yeah.
can get into a crawl space, you can look at the foundation that way. If it were a slab, you do your best from the outside. We look in the attic space at all the framing and how that's holding up. Of course, we look at the roof, top and bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and you try to get the best picture you can with what's how the home is built.
Yeah, and that is an important part for step for people who are homeowners and having an inspector come in. It is really important to clear out spaces. What are some of the areas that they need to clear out, and not only outside but also inside, so you can have access to it?
Well, the big ones are always going to be your attic access. And you don't want to just clear out the space the size of the attic. You want to give a little more room because you sometimes got to twist and move to get around. So a few feet each side
Mhm.
or all the way around the attic access and the crawl space access when possible. And it's very hard, especially if you're doing a seller's inspection because you live in the home, but try to have the garage empty if possible. If not, we have ways around that. We just report on what we can see.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people also have things up against the house, whether it's vegetation, a shed, or just storage. But every time you have something blocking the view, it's going to be called in a report as an inaccessible area.
Wow.
So the more access you give, the better or cleaner or more information a report will give you.
Absolutely. And do you have like any stories about, you know, when you go out to inspect homes, do you have like any stories of things that come up that like really a big surprise and it costs like a lot of money that buyer just said it's not, you know, this is not worth it? Something comes at the top of your head?
Well, one of the ones that sometimes the home inspector, unless you have a termite license, can't say the word termite in a report format, but we still, if you will, rub elbows with the termite inspector. And sometimes you'll find a small area that'll surprise people, and it'll be a bigger area for moisture damage or termite damage. The one that usually people don't realize, because a lot of people are scared about, is electrical. So I open, say, the main panel, and I find there's a problem. Every now and then, it can be a pretty, not scary, like, oh my gosh, but something needs to be handled right away. Because you don't want to have some wires exposed the wrong way, causing damage or even shorting out your appliance.
So normally you do a report after each inspection. So what goes into that report? What should buyers expect in that report?
Well, every home inspection company's reports will be a little different, but the basics should talk about, you know, what their findings are. And a lot of companies will, like we do, talk about the positives. Okay, let's say the garbage disposal is working fine, but the dishwasher has a leak. So you'll have a comment in there about garbage disposal is looking good. The dishwasher was known to be leaking, maybe at the drain or underneath, something along those lines, depending on the situation. And then you'll see things even on the furnace, air conditioners. The older homes sometimes will have a wrap on them, and that wrap is a white material, and it can be asbestos, but there's no way visually looking at a home you can identify 100% that it's asbestos. So I love to give this little math formula to everybody. If the math formula is this: any home or any product that's manufactured with asbestos was allowed to be made up until 1978. What most people don't realize is they had 5 years to use up any product they made. So five plus 78 puts you in the 83. So potentially 83 and older could have asbestos.
Wow.
The key factor to that is, again, no human can look at it and say it's 100%. It has to be lab tested. But that math or that timeline helps to give you an understanding of the chances. And the last part of that is, of course, as you get closer to 78 and the 83, your chances are a lot less.
Well,
but it is still a possibility.
I did not know that fact. So even though they were not allowed to use it after 78, they had 5 years.
They were allowed to use up any product that was already made for those 5 years.
Okay, so that may or may not have asbestos.
They could not make it after 78, but if they had a warehouse full of stuff, they had 5 years to use it up.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. So I remember like there was an inspection. I think you're the one who did it, that there was something that looked, that you said, as long as it's not disturbed. I know you're not, you need a specialist for that, but what can you say about that? About not disturbing?
Well, I mean, the best thing I always tell everybody, the CDC a few years back when I looked, it still had a lot of information. I honestly haven't looked it up in a few years. I don't know if they still have it up on their websites and stuff. But asbestos, when it becomes airborne and it gets into the lungs, that's where you start to have the health issues and concerns. So if you don't disturb it, it's not as bad. But it's mainly protecting the people, and that's why a lot of people will remove it when they can. Okay,
cool. And I think also in the lines of old buildings or buildings, that's also too with lead paint, right? If homes were built before I think 1978 or something like that.
I haven't looked that one up a little bit, but I believe
No.
it's right about the same time. Yes.
Yeah, that may also be an issue. Well,
Yes.
even though you don't have like X-ray vision, I know that you do like look under sinks to see if there's any drips or any the plumbing, or what else do you look for in the home? Like where do you look at in the home? I just want to like a little bit more
Well,
idea.
inside the home, I'll be running the heater, looking at the furnace, air conditioning. If it's in the home, it's not all homes have air conditioning.
Hmm.
Um, I will be looking at your appliances in the kitchen, anything that's installed, not like a table,
Oh.
a countertop microwave, but your dishwasher's installed, your furnace is installed,
Hmm.
um, fireplaces, the plumbing where it's accessible. Um, we'll also be looking at how the flooring and the walls are doing, how the doors and windows are doing, the electrical outlets, pretty much everything that's an installed standard deal. Our company has chosen not to do and look at refrigerators, which is pretty common because so many people move them with them or get
Hmm.
rid of them. And washer and dryers. Those items tend to move a lot, and they're not really installed.
Hmm.
They're just sitting there with a plug. But what your dishwashers, all the way down to the exhaust fan in the bathroom, we'll be
Wow.
looking at those.
Wow. So there's a lot of scare when people purchase their homes and then they find out all kinds of things that happens that maybe, you know, there was an inspector or not, but there are some surprises that may happen. As someone who's been doing a lot of inspections, what are the key main areas that we should look for, that homeowners should look for, people buying homes should look for and pay attention to, that is like high ticket items in the home?
Well, one thing I love to talk about that the inspectors don't get access to, but when you're going through your transaction as a buyer and seller, it's not too hard to find the information out, is you might want to find out how long the home is set vacant. Because
Oh.
when a home sits vacant, you can have the bathtub valves or a faucet or even the water heater, furnace, anything mechanical could potentially fail. I'm going to use a water heater as an example. So the water heater's sitting there, say it's a 40-gallon standard water heater, and the people move out, just for our example, in the beginning of March, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody buys it and moves in say the beginning of May. So we've got a few months in there. Well, the
Okay.
minerals will build up from
Oh.
the water, and they'll sort of solidify in place. And then somebody moves in after a couple weeks of living there, and they're taking showers and using all the other plumbing in the house. The hot water gets used, and as it gets used, those minerals are going to break apart inside the chamber or the tank, and then they're very abrasive, and they can cause a leak on an older water heater that's already got some wear and tear to it. So
Wow.
it's not uncommon to see leaks coming out of water heaters, shower heads. Same thing with those, because the fittings will get torn from the minerals on them. So there's a lot of minerals in water, and it can cause you issues.
Mm.
And the example I love for the new home buyer that hasn't bought a house yet is I like to use car analogy sometimes. If you take your car, whatever you have, and you park it for 3 or 4 months, the
Yeah.
gas goes bad, the tires can go flat, the battery may die,
Yeah.
have to be charged. All these things are normal from sitting. Well, the house will do the same thing.
Okay.
It will end up having problems at different parts of it, maybe the heater, the water, as I talked about, but you'll get things that can go wrong.
Wow. Well, thank you. That I did not realize that. So, um, so when if the house, if they ask if how long the house has been vacant, and then they
Mhm.
said 2 or 3 months, they should make sure, how can that be tested for the minerals? What should they do to prevent that?
I don't know that you can prevent the minerals. I think what I found that worked, even that back in the downturn in 2008, 2010 era,
Mm-hmm.
um, the vacant homes where they were brand new, it seemed like when you turn the water on a small trickle on that valve, it's not that hard rush of pressure water. You might not get a leak from that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a chance.
It's a
It's just a
chance.
guess. There's not much you can do on some of that stuff because it's within inside like a faucet or inside a component, and there's
Mm-hmm.
not much you're going to do. It's just, unfortunately, it happens.
Yeah.
And it has to be dealt with.
Yeah. I know that like normally home inspectors are not code inspectors, obviously,
Yes.
but
Yes. Correct.
I know that they sometimes you do see things such as safety issues. Like if
Correct.
someone added a deck or something or an addition in a home and there's safety issues, that's something that you can bring up, right?
Correct. Yeah. We don't want to do code inspections because that falls under your local building authority, whether it's the city or a county or whoever your building authority is. But we will look at health and safety, and that, especially in California, because other states can have different rules and different licensing. So I'm only speaking with my experience in California. But we do not do code inspections. Some guys like to try to do that, and they have to be able to back it up. There's so many codes. It's very difficult when you work in different jurisdictions and keep up with every single code. But the health and safety is really important. You know, it's something as simple as today I had an inspection, you know, and there wasn't a carbon monoxide detector in there. And if the furnace doesn't work, a $40, $50 carbon monoxide detector can save a life.
Yeah.
And they're not, some plug in, some, you know, you can hang them with screws up in the ceiling and walls, but they do work and they do save lives, just like smoke detectors.
Okay. So do you remember, like off the top of your head before you leave, thank you for your time, like any hidden things that you have found in your inspections that are not normal, like things that doesn't crop up all the time? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Well, a cute one that a lot of people won't recognize, but and I guess a long time ago before I was born, I get in these older homes and I love it when I get in these detached garages and somebody will cut in about a 5 foot long, probably about 3 feet wide and a couple feet deep, and this little, basically where they can roll the car in without jacking up and work on it, this little chamber. And it's really neat to see you go in these old homes and you see that. Another thing with the older homes that is really neat is the craftsmanship, and people like to keep them that way. But like on a stair railing, it can be very beautifully done. They may not be up to current standards, and they could have the balusters, which are the parts that run up and down, be too wide, and the child could fall or get their head caught. So you can have something beautiful. It was done at that time, and we're still going to make comment, hey, you know, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's this, it's that, and it's all awesome. However, there is a chance that a child could have an issue or slip or fall. You know, those things do happen.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Barry, for your time. I really do appreciate you. I appreciate the time you've taken out to come speak to us about inspections. And I just want to close because I just want to close with this, that home inspections are important to buyers, to sellers, but also to homeowners. Because if you're in a home, it's your investment also, and you have your health checkup every year. Your home checkup should be also every few years, not every year though, but at least what would you recommend, Barry? Like 3, 5, 4 years, just something.
Yeah, about 3, 4 years, and do a maintenance checkup. It's not always the structure, but you know, you can help to find out there's a leak, or they had something done and the ductwork's now come loose because they fixed the plumbing and they bumped the ductwork on your house, and you're spending too much money on your monthly bill and heating the crawl space or cooling the crawl space. Yeah, so having a checkup is a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. And so this is it. If you have any questions, let us know. I know this is a full topic. We can spend a lot of time on just one area or one area. So these are just like overviews, and just to keep in mind like what you need to do, what's important when you're buying your home, when you're selling your home, and when you're in your home. So this is Melvina with Think Beyond the Keys. Thank you so much, Barry, and I'll catch you later. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.